such a whiz kid, man. I'm like a techno whiz kid.
Well, I should hope so.
Just make sure this meeting is not already being recorded.
It is. VBoss. I spoke with someone who you introduced. I think you know who.
Yeah, when the VBoss language gets used, I know who you've spoken to.
You know what's up. I haven't shared these topics in advance, so I'm putting you on the spot here. You have quite a distinctive accent. Could you tell us where it's from and a little bit about your upbringing?
Yeah, look, I like to say I have a bastardized accent. I was born and brought up in South Africa. So I grew up in South Africa under the apartheid regime. I'm culturally Indian, but third generation South African. So that's where a large part of my accent comes from. I've lived all over the world, moved to the US about 23 years ago and lived all over the US. Houston, Dallas, Jacksonville, Philadelphia, Seattle. I've lived for a time in the Netherlands. I've lived in Dubai for a while. So, you know, my speech patterns, my language patterns, and my accent has evolved and changed over time. But the part of my accent you're probably hearing the most is South African and South African Indian from the Johannesburg, Pretoria area.
4 bags and 1 new bride. Tell us about, you know, that entry point into the United States and how that informed your contribution to the impact of the lives of, you know, your own life and the lives of others.
Look, one of the things I like to talk about is this concept of a human number. And you know, that's nothing other than a number that connects with someone. They have some type of resonance to. Sometimes it's you know, it's the sports jersey that they wore when they were kids, or sometimes it's the address you know, of the home that they grew up in. But for me, that number is 4, and there's multiple reasons for that 4. But the component of it that resonates the most is, you know, 23 years ago, my wife and I set sail for a new life, a new beginning, new opportunities when we left South Africa to move to the US. And we packed our entire lives in 4 bags. And so, and we literally packed everything. You know, we were going to a foreign country that we'd never traveled to. We had no idea what to expect. And so we had no idea how to pack. And so we literally packed everything that we could think about in those 4 bags. We packed 2 plates, 2 mugs, 2 spoons, 2 forks,
No guests,
clothing, all kinds of things into these bags. And that's where our journey began. Like everything that I have today, everything that I've accomplished today was born out of that journey, out of those 4 bags.
We spoke also about, it was funny because I said to you, you know, I looked at your LinkedIn profile and you've got such a litany of interesting companies and experiences, you know, Collier's, Starbucks, WeWork, F5 now, the Budget Avis Group, and I said to you, you know, that to me is very impressive. I find joining new companies hard. You're out of your comfort zone. You don't have sponsors, and you were like, yeah, like, you know, you could read it that way. Another person might think that I've got commitment issues, but then you know, proceeded to tell me the real reason, you know, what drives your career decisions. And I was particularly impressed by what made you decide to join the company where you are now, and your view on impact. Can you expand a little bit about, you know, how the concept of impact has informed your career choices?
Yeah, look, you know, I think about my life's purpose and my life's mission as one to help other people thrive. And so I'm always looking for opportunities, both personally and professionally, to how can I do that? How can I help people thrive? How can I help people be the best form of themselves and accomplish whatever they aspire for themselves? You know, that has factored a lot in terms of my career choices and decisions that I've made over the years, along with other dimensions, right? I typically, as I look at companies, I'm looking at impact that the company has in terms of its customers, in terms of its product, in terms of communities. But I also look at myself, like I think about myself as being a student for life. And, you know, I have to be learning and growing and developing all the time, and cannot be stuck in sort of a monotone, monotonous way of working. So if I'm not being challenged, I'm not being pushed, I'm not being, you know, driven to learn new things all the time, then I'm looking for the next experience where I can get that. The other dimension I look at is, you know, you want to be at a place where where people want you, but also people need you, right? Sometimes companies want you but don't need you, and sometimes companies need you but don't want you, and it creates this crazy state. But more than anything, like if you can have a company that needs you and wants you, and you are growing, learning, and developing, that's the trifecta. I think that's the amazing thing that hopefully most people aspire to. When I think about joining the Avis Budget Group, the piece that excites me the most, outside of it being a category level transformation, looking at the transportation industry and category, when I look at the impact that COVID has had, around companies, it's been very disproportionate. I've previously been in big tech, and you look at the impact of big tech. Big tech has thrived during COVID, and you look at other industries, travel, transportation, hospitality, et cetera, et cetera. These industries have been devastated during COVID. And I think about how do these industries come back? How do we resurrect that? And for me, Avis is in that bucket, right? And I get to be part of a team that gets to build back better, build back stronger, and create this entire opportunity in this category. And more importantly, if we do this thing right, the amount of jobs that we get to create is just phenomenal. And so at a personal level, that's the kind of stuff that drives me and motivates me. It's, create amazing products that customers love, but also create an impact to the world. And in this case, it's in the form of jobs. So I'm excited about it.
For your leadership style, there's not this savior complex. When you come into a new company, you don't deem yourself as the savior of all things. You pay a lot of respect to history and people who have been around for a long time and the way that things are. And then you bring those people along with you in terms of executing upon that vision. I think that's inclusivity in action. Is this stuff, do you actively create time for that, or is it just is it intrinsic to who you are? How deliberate are your efforts around inclusivity?
Yeah, look, it is for sure part of my DNA. It's for sure, I just live it and breathe it naturally. But I'm also acutely conscious and very thoughtful about my actions and how I go about it. When I go to a new place, the way I like to think about it is I want to take the time to appreciate the past, to understand the present, and then to inspire the future. And in order to do that, you've got to bring everyone along the journey, and you've got to engage with everyone. This term boss, I don't even consider myself to be anyone's boss. We are just peer levels, all working against, a common mission, a common milestone, and a common outcome. And so, it's for that reason that, yeah, I'm going to engage with anyone in the company. Regardless of levels that they are, regardless of seniority. I think everyone has amazing contribution. And for me, it's as a leader, as an executive, it's about me taking the time, effort, and energy to normalize the playing field, to make it okay for people to engage with executives and not view them as these individuals that are sitting on the pedestal. And the only way for me to do that is I need to be the person reaching out. I'm ready, be kind.
Okay. Number one, what do you consider to be your greatest achievement?
Getting my US citizenship. Yes.
Your most treasured possession?
My wife and kids.
I thought you were going to say a pair of skis out the back of the, yeah.
I do love me a good pair of skis. There's no question about it, but I'm going to take my wife and kids ahead of my skis.
Probably the best. You probably should.
No,
okay.
It's even better when I go skiing with them. Wife, kids,
like
ski slopes, you can't beat that.
No doubt. What's your most marked characteristic?
Inspiring action.
What's your biggest extravagance?
Extravagance?
Yes.
Shoes.
Really? I did not expect that at all.
I have more shoes than my wife and kids put together.
Stop it.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's really funny. What are we talking
I
about?
started working in a men's clothing retail outfitted shop at the age of 6. And so at a very young age, I've had a fashion sense.
Not legal at all. Anyone, this is my last question. And again, it's something that I ask all of my interviewees is there anybody who you'd like to say thank you to who's helped you in your own career?
I think about that question a lot. And it's so unfair for me to publicly mention anyone by name, largely because my life has been impacted so profoundly by so many people that I hold near and dear, to my heart. Quite frankly, I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts. Almost anyone who's going to be watching this is going to be somebody that I have a profound debt to, and probably indebted to them for the rest of my life. So I wouldn't want to single out anyone. I just have many people that I'm supremely grateful for.
This will probably embarrass you, but just as closing, so that everybody watching knows this, like how much you put your money where your mouth is, literally, the first conversation that you and I ever had, you offered to personally pay for something related to my own professional development. Like you really do you walk the talk, and I'm really grateful to have met you, grateful that you spent the time with me today.
Well, that offer still stands. I'm so grateful that I was introduced to you. You're a phenomenal person, and I can tell you what you are doing it's inspirational. And I'd like to see you continue to succeed, and anything I can do to help you on this journey, I'd love to do it. And let's get ourselves vaccinated so we can actually see one another in person soon.
Sweet, awesome, and I'll send you that invoice. Just kidding.
I look forward to it.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Veresh.
Have a good one. Cheers.